You see my commemorations a lot too right here. DC C-47 Skytrain. Kind of a commemoration on my trains, and also my thing. I wanted to get a higher payload, and these were Germans and Americans that were actually designing these things. You can actually fit a Jeep up in there. Anyway, you can see the C-47, the 7, and the Skytrain as in commemoration of trains and stuff like that, because it was saying that I owned trains and aircraft at the same time, and was basically just a commemoration of all those things. And this is testing of an aircraft that will eventually they'll get engines on it. We could build the airframes way faster than we could get the engines for the aircraft. Like I say, there were a couple of engines that were still in development, or they were having problems with some of the engines. Like there were some rods that were breaking, and there was some other stuff. Seals were leaking. The real problem was the rubber. Actually, that's one thing that they don't tell you about during those times, is that the rubber seals were becoming a problem. And there was a couple things with like the bearings. The metallurgy wasn't quite there for the engines. So they were having some problems, some wear problems. And I was like, well, let's go ahead and just build them as a test, and we'll build one or two, and then we'll just replace them out later on. Anyway, I was going through and making a lot of decisions on my aircraft and everything else like that. There's so much to do. Like I say, nowadays people know when you go to buy a what's called a house, you got to fill out all those forms, and there's like never ending initial this, initial that, and it's the same thing with countries and stuff. Like I was taking over the world, I wasn't really taking over the world. I'd already owned the world. I had just kind of like released my grip a little bit, and all of a sudden there were all these testing facilities that they were cutting skulls off of people, and they were pulling out their brain, and they were slicing off their brains while they were still living, and then they were asking them questions. And I was like, where is this going on? I want to know. And there was also talk of glass windows and people being exposed to mustard gas as well as other gases. And I was like, where is this going on? And I was trying to find that out. And while my troops were searching, they would come under fire. Like everyone knows, my motto, or the whole motto of the American Army, is basically don't fire unless fired upon. So my troops were wandering around, and they would come under fire from an unknown army or unknown source. And so they would go and what's called, some of these videos, all the videos were basically mine. These are confirmed enemy sites, or confirmed this, or confirmed that. That's why there's video also of like German troops and also of American troops, because Germany was actually with the Allied force. That's another thing. It's just that there was like maybe pocket Germany, I think, or something like that. There was like one or two cities that were in Germany that really weren't. Germany was supposed to be part of my force, my Allied force. So tank dozers. The tank dozers, I was like, well, just put a blade on it. Because some of my dozers, when they were building roads, they'd be building a road and using the dozer, and they would come under fire, and then people would, and some of the equipment was being stolen. People would run up, kill the people, and then take off with the tractor. And I was like, well, that's not okay. That's not going to happen. And so I was actually having to protect my workers. Kind of like the same thing that still happens in some of the foreign countries. They'll be building a water plant or a power plant, and some people will come up and try and kill them. And it's like, we're putting in a power and water system for the nearby town. Why are you killing us? And that kind of stuff was happening in World War I and World War II. So anyway, it's the same thing as today. I don't know why. It's like, we generally turn the power systems over. It's not like there were abuses. It's true, and that's part of it. True, too. There were like one or two, or like a couple different groups of rapists or whatever, and that was becoming a problem. But a lot of these videos are just testing and stuff. You know, just testing out the different things, the foggers and stuff, for creating a smoke screen or whatever. My old barrels. Can you drive through smoke? Is smoke a problem? How effective is smoke? I love, everyone. That's another thing. Everyone loved working with me or working for me because my troops, well, they really didn't see action so much. I mean, there was no war, really among my people. I mean, we decimated any enemy pretty quickly, and we could lay down serious firepower and serious aircraft. I mean, I was branching out into other countries, but other countries were basically screaming for me to come and save them. They're like, come get us. We want to be a part of you. And so I was expanding my troops out. I mean, I expanded out with Germany, and then because people wanted power, they wanted water, they wanted hot water, and basically also any towns that weren't a part of me that didn't have my good, safe drinking water died. There was massive famine and massive disease. Anyway, though, but a lot of these videos, this is just test rolls of my testing or some skirmishes. Like I say too, all the war, all the death, it was being documented because I was like, we're gathering evidence. I want to know who's doing this. I want to know who's doing what, who's attacking us, where is this fire coming from. So it was all good. It's all going to be gathered as evidence, and then later on, what's it called? But the Russian mob was even building tanks. I had different groups that were like, we're going to build you tanks. We believe in you. And so I had the Russian or the mafia or the Sicilian families. There were a couple of tractor manufacturers that were like, we can build tanks. We're going to build some tanks because we want to defend our town and our towns. So I was like, okay, sure. And so they started building some tanks, and I had one or two, and then I had more, and then I had a big line of tanks basically, and mostly the tanks would go on patrol and stuff like that, just drive through the forest or whatever, and then people would shoot at them, and they would shoot back. Pretty simple. It's generally, if you don't fire unless fired upon. So, anyway, though, but yeah, they just cruised around and stuff like that. Anyway, it's complicated. I hate war. I really, it happened though. I mean, and like I said, that there was all these other groups where, people saw that they could buy tanks, and they did buy tanks, and then their group would go out and they would try and do something bad. And then basically me and my people would be like, no, you can't do that. You're not going to, you can't just take whatever and turn people into slaves. So freeing up the planet, freeing up the world, going and finding these places where people were like, I mean, there's a lot of people, a lot of little pocket groups that were like, we are the country of Bob. And in the country of Bob, we can rape whoever we want, and we can charge as much as we want. You are our slaves. Like I said, there was a massive abuse of children. I mean, rape of whole towns. Children that were basically little slaves from day one, being brainwashed or mind washed to think that this other person is their creator, or it wasn't really about the creator thing. I mean, it's like I'm Lucifer, I'm the creator of humankind, and I don't even care about that. It was like, I don't care about that. What matters is that people were being lied to. People were thinking that Hitler was some kind of god, and it's like, no, he's just one of the people that work for me. He's not really a god, but I mean, if you like him, sure, go ahead, love him. I mean, he was a guy. He did a lot of things too. I mean, he was probably in my service. I mean, I'm sure he did a lot of stuff before whatever. I mean, it was basically a world war. I mean, hey, whatever. I was an inventor. I was rich. I was powerful. I was Lucifer, the creator. It's like, and there was a bunch of people going around raping and killing, and also doing experiments on people. Anyway, whatever. I had aircraft, so Anyway, it's really annoying, and like I say, it gives me a headache when I think about it because it's just so bad. It was so hard and painful. Anyway, and we have all kinds of other stuff.